The suitcase zipper caught halfway through, and Ava had to jiggle it like she was coaxing a confession out of a nervous witness. When it finally gave, she lifted the lid and went still. Everything inside was wrapped in tissue paper. Not haphazardly. Perfectly. Methodically. The shoes had individual cocoons. The socks were clipped together. Even the way the clothes were rolled with military precision, it was like someone had attended a master class on precision packing. And in the span of 1 second, Eva knew this wasn't hers. She looked at her second suitcase across the room, the one that currently looked like a tornado had made a personal appearance, and then back at the tissue paper situation. "Okay," she said to nobody. "So someone out there is having the worst day of their life right now." She dug through the suitcase looking for a name. In the side pocket, she found a leather journal. Nice one. She opened it. Kang Ji-ho written on the inside cover in handwriting that matched the tissue paper energy exactly. Below it, a phone number. Ava pulled out her phone. "Hi, I have your luggage. I also have questions. Starting with, who wraps socks in tissue paper? Is this a serial killer thing, or are you just built different?" She hit send before she could overthink it. The response came 40 minutes later. One message. No emoji. Just, "Please do not touch my belongings." Ava laughed out loud. She looked at the tissue paper cocoon surrounding her, then back at her phone. Too late. I'm already judging you. Also, who travels with a leather journal and a book of poetry? That's giving writes mysterious notes at coffee shops energy. What's the tea? This time the response was faster, angrier. "Those are personal items. I would appreciate if you return my luggage without further inspection." Ava grinned. She had found her entertainment for the afternoon. "I tried to return it. The airport is useless. They said it could take days. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to text you photos of your belongings, and you're going to tell me who you are and what your deal is. Fair trade. I'm being very generous." She didn't wait for a response. She grabbed the nearest item, a perfectly rolled shirt, held it up, and snapped a photo. Then another. Then she found a sweater, folded it dramatically across her lap, and took a selfie with it. She sent all three with a caption. "Your wardrobe is very responsible. Mine is very not. We should be friends." The response came through while she was setting up the next shot. "We will not be friends. You are touching my clothes." And yet, here you are, texting me back. That's basically friendship. She was already moving to his shoes, carefully unwrapping one from its tissue paper cocoon like it was a newborn baby. She held it up, angled it in the light, and took a photo that was genuinely artistic. Then she sent it with the message, "This shoe is beautiful. Whoever owns it has impeccable taste and zero personality. You seem fun at parties." There was a pause, a long one, long enough that Ava thought maybe she'd actually pissed him off. Then, "I am very fun at parties." Ava's fingers flew across her screen. "No, you're not. You wrap socks in tissue paper. That's not fun. That's a cry for help. That is organization. That is psychotic. That is efficient. That is insane." She kept sending photos. His perfectly lined up shoes, his color-coordinated clothes, a close-up of the sock clips with a message that said, "These exist." His responses got shorter, more exasperated, and somehow funnier because he clearly had no idea how to handle her. "Stop photographing my belongings. Stop packing like you're preparing for a military operation. This is not productive. This is the most productive thing that's happened to me all week. It is 3 p.m. on a Monday." Exactly. By the time she fell asleep that night, Ava had sent approximately 30 photos and received exactly 17 responses, each one shorter and more resigned than the last. The final message before bed was simply, "Stop. Please." She replied, "See you tomorrow, tissue paper guy." And he never responded. But the next morning, when she woke up, there was a text waiting from an unknown number. It was early, too early for normal people to be awake. The message said, "The airport called. You could have my luggage sent there. I'd do the same with yours. We can arrange a swap. Eva sat up in bed. The tone had shifted completely. All business now. It made her smile. Or, you could bring it to me. We could finally meet in person. I want to see if you're as uptight as your suitcase. The response took so long to come that she thought maybe she'd actually scared him away. When it finally arrived, it was, fine, tomorrow, 6 p.m., outside the Starbucks on Gangnam Street. Ava screamed into her pillow. Brooke came running from the kitchen. What? What happened? Are you okay? I'm meeting the tissue paper guy tomorrow, Eva announced. Brooke stared at her. Ava, that's how people get murdered. Or get the best love story, Ava countered, already pulling up her closet to figure out what to wear. If you're obsessed with messy meet-cutes like the Nesties are, subscribe now so you never miss a story. Hit that notification bell so you get alerted the moment a new Afro-Korean romance drops. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next with Eva and Jiho. The next day crawled by. Ava changed outfits 4 times. Brooke kept giving her looks that suggested she thought this was a terrible idea. By the time 5:45 p.m. rolled around, Eva's heart was actually pounding as she headed toward the Starbucks. He was already there. He was tall, unfairly tall, and very fine-looking. He had sharp features and dark hair and was wearing a charcoal coat that looked expensive. And he was looking at her with an expression that suggested he was genuinely unsure whether this had been a mistake. You're real, he said. You're uptight, Ava replied. He blinked. Then, almost imperceptibly, something shifted in his face, like he was about to smile but was fighting it. I am not uptight. I am organized. Same thing. It is not. They stood there, sizing each other up. The luggage situation suddenly felt very small compared to the fact that they were actually standing in front of each other. Eva felt her cheeks warm. So, she said, breaking the tension, do you really write mysterious notes at coffee shops? No, he said, and then, after a beat, I write poetry. Oh my God, you do? Let me see. Absolutely not. Come on, I've already violated your privacy with the photos. What's a little poetry? He looked at her like she was genuinely insane, which she might be. But instead of walking away, he actually opened his coat and pulled out a journal just like the one she'd found in his suitcase. These are very personal, he said, handing it to her with the care of someone entrusting her with his actual heart. Ava opened it carefully. The poems were beautiful, dark, thoughtful, full of longing. She read one about soul at night, another about the weight of expectations. When she looked up, he was watching her intently. These are really good, she said quietly. Why would you not want to share them? Because people judge, he said simply. I prefer to be judged for what I can control. My organization, my work, not my feelings. Something about that hit Eva differently. She closed the journal gently and handed it back to him. Their fingers brushed and neither of them moved. Well, she said, her voice softer now, for what it's worth, I think your feelings are pretty great. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, I'm Kang Ji-ho. Ava Miller. I know, he said. You mentioned it in your first text. They both laughed. And just like that, the dynamic shifted from teasing to something else entirely. Something that felt dangerous and exciting and completely unexpected. So, Eva said, are we going to exchange the luggage, or are we going to keep standing here? We could get coffee first, Jiho said quietly, if you wanted. Ava's heart did a little flip. Yeah, she said, I'd like that. The coffee shop was small and warm, tucked away on a quiet street that didn't feel like Seoul at all. Ava sat across from Jiho, watching him carefully arrange his napkin next to his Americano. Even his coffee consumption was methodical. So let me get this straight, Ava said, stirring her oat milk latte. You wrap socks in tissue paper, you write poetry about existential dread, and you're a businessman. What do you do exactly? I work in corporate finance, Jiho said. It's not interesting. Everything about you is interesting. You're like a puzzle. He looked uncomfortable with the compliment. I'm not. I'm very straightforward. You're the opposite of straightforward. You respond to my chaos with one-word texts, and then you show me your poetry journal within 5 minutes of meeting me. That's not straightforward. That's sending mixed signals. I don't send mixed signals, he said. But there was something in his eyes that suggested maybe he did. Maybe he always did. They talked for 2 hours. About Seoul, about L.A., about why Eva had decided to visit Brooke for 6 weeks. About his job, which he described as soul-crushing but necessary, and his family, who apparently had very specific expectations about his life. About poetry and organization, and whether it was possible to be both chaotic and successful. When they finally did the luggage swap, walking to Jiho's car where her suitcase was waiting, Eva felt like something had fundamentally shifted. This wasn't just a funny story to tell anymore. This was a person she actually wanted to know. So, Jiho said, handing over her suitcase, I suppose this is where we say goodbye. Eva took it, but she didn't move. Or we could exchange numbers, for real this time, not in a creepy way, just in case. Jiho smiled, an actual smile, not a reluctant one. In case what? In case you want to send me poetry, or I want to judge your organization habits, or we just feel like talking. We already have each other's numbers, he pointed out. Yeah, but you could delete mine. He pulled out his phone. I could, but I won't. They exchanged actual contact information, saved each other's names with verification that yes, she was definitely Eva, and he was definitely Jiho, and not some random person pretending to be someone else. That night, Eva was unpacking her suitcase when her phone buzzed. Thank you for not destroying my belongings. And for the coffee. She smiled and typed back, Thank you for not reporting me to the police for invasion of privacy. The day is young. Is that a threat? It is a promise. Eva felt her stomach flip. She stared at that last message for a long time before responding, Interesting. I like promises. He didn't text back for an hour. When he did, it was a photo of his perfectly organized closet with the caption, Still organized. Still not psychotic. Eva laughed and sent back a photo of her disaster of a suitcase. Still chaotic. Still thriving. How is that thriving? You wouldn't understand. It's an American thing. I am concerned for your future. Good. Be concerned. Worry about me. There was another pause. Then, okay. Just that. Just, okay. But it felt like he meant it in a way that went beyond the joke. Over the next week, the texting became a constant. Eva would send him photos of Seoul, street food, random shops, Brooke making ridiculous faces. He would respond with commentary, sometimes funny, sometimes thoughtful. He sent her a photo of his desk at work with the message, This is where I spend most of my time. It is as organized as you feared. It's giving, I have control issues, Eva replied. I do not have control issues. I have control. Same energy. It is not, but he kept texting, at lunch, in the evenings, late at night when he probably should have been sleeping. Eva found herself checking her phone constantly, waiting for his messages. Brooke noticed immediately. You're smiling at your phone, Brooke said one morning, appearing in the kitchen with a knowing look. I'm not. You absolutely are. Is this tissue paper guy? His name is Jiho. Uh-huh. And nothing. We're just texting. Ava, you've been smiling at your phone for 4 days straight. That's not just texting. Ava wanted to argue, but she couldn't, because Brooke was right. This didn't feel like just texting. This felt like something was building, something that terrified her a little bit. That Friday, she got a text from Jiho. What are you doing tomorrow evening? Her heart rate picked up. Why? I would like to take you somewhere, if you want. Is this a date? Would you like it to be a date? Ava stared at the message for what felt like forever. This was the moment. The moment where this thing stopped being a funny luggage story and became something real, something that had an expiration date, because she was leaving in 5 weeks. She typed, Yes, I would like it to be a date. His response came immediately. Good. I was hoping. The next day, Ava went through her entire suitcase trying to figure out what to wear. Everything felt wrong. Brooke stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Just wear the black dress, Brooke said. It's too much. It's perfect. Ava, you're spiraling. I'm not spiraling. He's very put together, and I'm very not, and I'm trying to figure out if we actually have anything in common beyond the luggage situation and the fact that we apparently enjoy texting. You have chemistry, Brooke said. I can tell from the way you talk about him. You light up. I do not light up. You absolutely do, and he clearly likes you. So stop overthinking it and just go have fun. Eva wore the black dress. Ji-ho picked her up at 7, and when she opened the door, he looked at her like maybe she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. It made her feel brave and terrified at the same time. You look nice, he said quietly. You look nice too, she replied. Very organized, nice. He smiled. I tried. The date was perfect in a way that felt dangerous. They went to a rooftop restaurant with a view of Seoul stretching out beneath them. Ji-ho was different away from his corporate setting, looser, funnier, more willing to let his guard down. He told her stories about his childhood, about learning poetry from his grandmother, about why he packed everything in tissue paper. It had started as a practical solution and become a habit. So your grandmother taught you to write poetry? Eva asked. She taught me that feeling things deeply was not something to be ashamed of, Ji-ho said. But she also taught me that in Korea, you don't always get to show your feelings openly. So you have to find other ways to express them. Poetry, organization, small gestures. Is texting me at midnight a small gesture? Eva asked. Yes, he said. Is sending me photos of random things you find interesting a small gesture? Absolutely. He reached across the table and took her hand. Then I suppose we have been making gestures at each other for a while now. Eva's breath caught. I suppose we have. A week later, Brooke casually mentioned that her company was having a dinner event. You should come, she said to Eva while they were getting ready. It'll be fun. Free food. You can meet my co-workers. Eva hadn't thought anything of it until she walked into the restaurant and saw him. Kang Ji-ho was standing near the bar, talking to a group of executives. He was wearing a tailored navy suit that made him look untouchable. His expression was controlled, professional, distant. He looked like someone who had never laughed in his entire life. Then he saw Eva. The transformation was instantaneous. His entire face changed. The coldness melted. He smiled. A real smile, the kind he gave her when they were alone. And for a moment, everyone around him seemed to fade away. Brooke grabbed Eva's arm. Oh my God, Brooke whispered. Oh my God, that's him. What? That's your guy. That's... Eva, is that Ji-ho? Eva nodded, unable to look away. But that's our CEO. Ava's head snapped toward Brooke. What? That's Kang Ji-ho. He's the CEO. He's a legend. Everyone's terrified of him. He never smiles. He never jokes. I've worked here for 2 years, and I've probably heard him say 10 words. Eva watched as Ji-ho excused himself from his group and started walking toward them. Every step was careful, controlled, but his eyes were locked on hers. Ava, he said when he reached her. Then he looked at Brooke. Brooke, I did not know you and Eva were friends. Brooke's eyes went wide. You two know each other? We met at the airport, Ji-ho said simply. We have been seeing each other. Seeing each other? Brooke looked between them. Like, dating? Yes, Eva said, her voice smaller than she intended. We're dating. Brooke stared at her, then at Ji-ho, then back at Eva. You're dating the CEO, the Iceman, the guy who made Jenkins cry in a meeting last month? I did not make him cry, Ji-ho said, sounding genuinely offended. He was unprepared. See? Brooke said to Eva. Cold. But when Brooke excused herself to get a drink, Ji-ho's entire demeanor softened. He reached for Eva's hand, pulling her slightly away from the crowd. I did not expect you to be here, he said. Brooke invited me. She didn't mention her boss was a mysterious poetry-writing robot. I am not a robot. You look like a robot right now. You looked like a robot when I walked in. But then you saw me and suddenly you're human again. What is that? Jiho was quiet for a moment. At work, I have to be a certain version of myself. The version people expect. The version that makes decisions without emotion. But with you, he paused, searching for words. With you, I do not have to be that version. Ava felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't just a fun fling anymore. This was real. So what does that mean? She asked quietly. It means I like you, he said simply. It means I would like to continue seeing you. It means when you leave Seoul, I do not want this to end. Ava's breath caught. Leave. Right. She was leaving. The 6 weeks suddenly felt very finite. Jiho, I'm only here for 6 weeks. After that, I go back to LA. I have a job, a life. I know, he said, but we can figure it out, yes? Before Ava could respond, Brooke appeared with 2 drinks and a very interested expression. So, Brooke said, handing Ava a glass. How long have you two been a thing? 2 weeks, Ava said. Brooke looked shocked. 2 weeks? And you're already holding hands and looking at each other like the world is ending? We are not, Jiho started. You absolutely are, Brooke said. She took a sip of her drink and grinned. This is the best thing that's happened at one of these events in years. The CEO has a girlfriend, and she's my best friend. This is insane. Despite the weirdness of the situation, Ava laughed. And when she looked at Jiho, he was smiling too. The rest of the evening was surreal, watching Jiho switch between CEO mode when talking to colleagues and soft Jiho mode when he was with Eva. The contrast was stark and somehow incredibly attractive. He would say something cutting in a meeting, then turn to Eva and ask if she wanted dessert with the gentleness of someone handling something precious. When the dinner ended, Jiho walked Eva and Brooke to a taxi. Thank you for coming, he said to Eva, and the way he said it made it clear he meant more than just the dinner. Thank you for existing, Eva replied, and he actually laughed. A real, unguarded laugh that made several people turn and stare. Over the next 2 weeks, they fell into a rhythm. Jiho would text her in the mornings before work. During lunch, he'd send her photos or small thoughts. In the evenings, they'd go out, exploring neighborhoods in Seoul, finding small restaurants, taking long walks. He was different with her, softer, more willing to be impulsive. Ava convinced him to try street food without a plan. He convinced her to visit a poetry reading, where she fell asleep halfway through, but he didn't seem to mind. One night, they were sitting on a bench overlooking the Han River, and Ava's head was on his shoulder. I like this, Ava said. Just being with you. Not doing anything. I like it too, Jiho said. He was quiet for a moment. Ava, I know we have not known each other long, but I need you to know that this is real to me. You are real to me. Ava sat up and looked at him. His expression was serious, vulnerable in a way she was starting to recognize meant he was about to say something important. What are you saying? She asked softly. I am saying that when you go back to LA, I do not want this to end. I want to make it work. Jiho, long distance is hard, I know, but so is finding someone who makes you feel like you do not have to be anyone but yourself. That is rare. I do not want to throw it away because of geography. Ava felt tears prickling her eyes. How are you so sure? Because when I am with you, I feel like the version of myself I want to be. Not the CEO, not the organized, controlled version, just myself. And I do not want to lose that. Ava kissed him then, right there on the bench overlooking Seoul. And she didn't let herself think about the fact that she was leaving in 4 weeks. But Brooke knew. Brooke could see it happening. The way Eva's smiles became more genuine, the way she checked her phone constantly, the way she talked about Jiho like he hung the moon. One night, as they were getting ready for bed, Brooke brought it up. You're falling for him, Brooke said. I am not, Eva replied, but her voice was unconvincing. Ava, come on. Okay, fine. Maybe I'm catching feelings. But it doesn't matter. I'm leaving in 4 weeks. So tell him you'll stay. I can't stay. I have a job. I have a life in L.A. You have a boyfriend in Seoul who's clearly losing his mind over you. He's not. He absolutely is. I've never seen Jiho like this. He's actually human now. It's weird and wonderful, and you're going to break his heart. Ava felt something crack inside her chest. Because Brooke was right. She was going to break his heart. Or maybe they were going to break each other's hearts, and neither of them could do anything about it. I need more time, Ava said quietly. I need to figure out how to do this. You don't have time, Brooke said gently. You have 4 weeks. The next 3 weeks happened in a blur of moments that felt both timeless and painfully finite. Jiho started leaving work early. He would pick Ava up, and they would explore parts of Seoul that tourists never saw. A tiny bookshop in Hongdae where the owner knew his name. A photography gallery where Ava stood in front of one image for so long that Jiho just waited, understanding without her having to explain. A pojangmacha, a street food tent, where the owner started saving them a table because they came so often. He was patient with her chaos. When she lost her phone at a cafe, he retraced her steps without complaint. When she got emotional watching a Korean film she didn't understand, he translated the dialogue and held her hand. When she woke up sick one morning, he showed up at Brooke's apartment with soup and medicine and sat with her until she felt better. Ava was falling deeper every single day, and she was terrified. Brooke watched it all unfold with the expression of someone who knew exactly how this movie ended. You need to talk to him, Brooke said one afternoon while Eva was pretending to read, but was actually just staring at a text Jiho had sent her an hour ago. About what? About the fact that you're leaving in 2 weeks and you're clearly in love with him. I'm not in love with him. Eva, I'm not. It's a holiday fling. We established that. You established that. He clearly did not get the memo. He's already planning visits to L.A. He's looking at apartments in different neighborhoods. He asked me what your favorite flowers are because he wants to do something special for your birthday. Ava's heart stopped. He asked you about my birthday? Yeah, in 2 weeks. You're going to be here for it, and then you're leaving 3 days later, so. Ava felt panic rising in her chest. She stood up and started pacing. This is not happening, she said. This is not real. We've known each other for 3 weeks. You've known each other for 3 weeks, and you're completely in love with him. I am not. Ava, stop. Brooke stood up and grabbed her shoulders. Stop lying. To me and to yourself. You love him, and he loves you. So what are you going to do about it? Ava wanted to cry. Instead, she grabbed her phone and texted Jiho, Can we talk tonight? Like really talk? His response came immediately. Of course. Where? They met at the riverside again, their spot. It was sunset, and the sky was turning pink and gold. Jiho was waiting on their bench, and when he saw her, something shifted in his face, like he knew this conversation was coming. Hi, Ava said, sitting down next to him but not close enough to touch. Hello, he said carefully. Is everything okay? Ava took a deep breath. I need to know what you think this is. What do you mean? I mean, what are we doing? Because I'm leaving in 2 weeks and you're acting like we're building a future, and I don't want to hurt you. Jiho was quiet for a long moment. Do you want to hurt me? No, God no. Then do not. That is simple. It's not simple. You live here. I live in L.A. I have a job I can't just leave. You have a company. It's impossible. Why does it have to be impossible? Jiho asked. His voice was calm, but there was intensity in his eyes. People do long distance all the time. People break up all the time, too. Yes, they do. But not everyone. Some people decide that what they have is worth the effort, that the person is worth the sacrifice. Ava felt tears starting. What if I'm not? What if you are? He countered. What if I'm willing to try? What if we are both willing to try? Jiho, you barely know me. I know you well enough, he said. He reached over and took her hand. I know that you are brave and chaotic, and you make me laugh. I know that you are creative, and you care deeply about the people you love. I know that when I wake up, the first thing I want to do is text you. I know that when you are near me, I feel like myself. That is enough. Ava was crying now, unable to stop the tears. I'm scared, she whispered. I know, Jiho said. He pulled her closer. I am scared too, but I would rather be scared with you than safe without you. Ava buried her face in his shoulder and let herself cry. Because she loved him. God, she loved him so much it hurt. And she was going to have to leave him in 2 weeks. The next day was her birthday. Ava woke up to 1,000 messages. From her family in L.A., from her coworkers, from her boss, the usual birthday chaos. But the first message was from Jiho. Happy birthday to the person who crashed into my life and made everything better. She smiled through her tears. He picked her up at noon. He had arranged the entire day. They went to a flower market where he let her pick any flower she wanted. She chose a chaotic mix of colors and types that made him shake his head, but smile anyway. Then they went to a fancy restaurant where the chef clearly knew Jiho and made special dishes just for them. But the best part was when they went back to the riverside and there was a small picnic set up. Her favorite desserts and wine and a handwritten card that Jiho had written. Ava opened the envelope with shaking hands. Ava, it read in his careful handwriting. I did not believe in fate until I met you. I thought everything was planned, organized, controlled. But you walked into my life without warning, and you changed everything. You made me believe that some things are worth the chaos, that some people are worth the risk. I do not know what the future holds, but I know I want you in it. Happy birthday. I love you. Eva read it 3 times. Then she looked at Jiho, who was watching her with an expression of such vulnerability and hope that it broke her heart. You love me? She asked. Yes, he said simply. I love you, Eva Miller. I have for weeks now. I love you too, Eva said, and the words felt like a confession and a surrender at the same time. I'm in love with you. I'm terrified, but I'm in love with you. Jiho kissed her then, and it felt like a promise, like a beginning, like an ending. The next 3 days passed in a haze. Ava tried to live in the moment, to store up memories like she could take them with her. She memorized the way Jiho looked in the morning light, the way he said her name, the way his hand felt in hers. Brooke packed with her, quiet and supportive. She didn't say, I told you so. She didn't need to. On Eva's last night, Jiho took her back to where they'd first had coffee. They sat in the same seats, and he held her hand across the table just like he had that first time. I will visit, he said. In 3 weeks. I will take time off, and I will come to L.A. Jiho, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep flying back and forth. I can, he said firmly, and I will, until we figure out something better. Until you decide you want to stay, or I decide I want to move. But we will figure it out, Ava, I promise you. Ava wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that love was enough. But she also knew that love didn't pay bills. Love didn't solve logistics. Love didn't make impossible things possible. But looking at him, at this man who had wrapped his socks in tissue paper and written poetry about loneliness and let her into his carefully organized life, she decided to try anyway. Okay, she said, we'll try. The airport was crowded, and Ava's flight was in 2 hours. Jiho carried her suitcase, the one that had started this entire chaos, to the check-in counter. They moved through the motions like they were in a dream, weighing the bag, printing the boarding pass, getting the gate information. Everything was happening exactly the way it was supposed to, and Ava wanted to scream. In the departures area, they found a quiet corner away from the rush of people. Jiho set her suitcase down, and they stood facing each other like they had at that first luggage swap, except everything was different now. So, Ava said, trying to keep her voice steady. This is it. This is not it, Jiho said firmly. This is just the beginning of a different phase. You sound like a CEO. I am a CEO, he said. And then, more softly, I am also someone who is in love with you. Those two things can both be true. Ava felt tears starting again. She'd cried more in the past 24 hours than she had in years. I don't know how to do this, she said. I don't know how to leave you. Jiho reached out and cupped her face in his hands. You put one foot in front of the other. You get on the plane. You go home. And then you wait for me to come visit you. And we talk every day, and we figure it out. What if we can't figure it out? Then at least we tried. But I think we can, Ava. I think we're the kind of people who can do hard things if we decide it's worth it. And you are worth it to me. Ava kissed him then, memorizing the feel of his lips, the warmth of his hands, the way he smelled like cologne and the Seoul air. She wanted to freeze this moment and live in it forever. I love you, she whispered against his mouth. I love you so much. I love you too, he said. I will call you when you land, and tomorrow, and every day until I see you again. They stood there, holding each other, as the airport moved around them, families reuniting, people saying goodbye, everyone experiencing their own version of the same moment, the impossible task of leaving someone you love. Finally, an announcement came for Eva's flight. I have to go, she said, though she didn't move. I know, Jiho said. He pulled back just enough to look at her. But this is not goodbye, Ava. This is just... See you soon. Ava grabbed her suitcase and walked toward the security line. She made it 3 steps before she turned back. Jiho was still standing where she'd left him, watching her. She ran back and threw her arms around him one more time. 3 weeks, she said. You'll be there in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, he confirmed. And Eva, I will be counting every day. This time, when she walked toward security, she didn't look back. Because if she did, she wouldn't be able to leave. And they both knew she had to. The next 3 weeks were the longest of Eva's life. She went back to her apartment in L.A., back to her job as a senior editor at a creative agency, back to her normal life. Except nothing felt normal anymore. Everything felt muted. The food didn't taste as good. The weather felt wrong. Her apartment felt empty in a way it never had before. But Jiho was true to his word. He called her every morning before work and every night before bed. They texted constantly, funny things, serious things, mundane things. He sent her photos of Seoul. She sent him photos of L.A. They watched movies together on video call, sitting in comfortable silence like they were in the same room. Brooke had given Ava a knowing look before Eva left. He's going to come, Brooke said, and he's going to stay. You don't know that. I know him, or I know enough about him to know that once he decides something, it's decided, and he has decided on you. On the day Jiho was supposed to arrive, Ava was a mess. She'd cleaned her apartment twice, changed outfits 4 times, driven to the airport an hour early. She sat at arrivals, watching people come through the doors, her heart pounding every time she saw someone tall with dark hair. And then she saw him. He was wheeling a suitcase, a new one, probably packed with the same precision as the original, and wearing the charcoal coat he'd worn the night they met. He looked tired from the flight and absolutely beautiful. When he saw her, his entire face transformed. He dropped the suitcase and started walking toward her, and Ava couldn't help it. She ran. She crashed into him, and he caught her, lifting her off the ground and spinning her around like they were in a movie. When he set her down, he kissed her, right there in the middle of the airport, like none of the distance or time had happened. Hi, Eva said when they finally broke apart. Hi, Jiho said back. I missed you. I missed you too, so much. I know, I could feel it through the phone. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I'm here now, for 2 weeks, and Ava, I have been thinking about something. What? I have been thinking that maybe I do not want to be in Seoul all the time anymore. My company can run from anywhere. I have good people, and I have decided that you are where I want to be. Ava's breath caught. What are you saying? I am saying that I love you, and I am saying that I am willing to try living in L.A., at least for a while. We can figure out the details. But I do not want to do long distance forever. I want to build a life with you. Jiho? Ava felt tears streaming down her face. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything in my life, he said. He pulled her close again. You crashed into my life without warning, and you made everything better. I do not want to go back to how things were before you. I want to move forward with you. If you want that too. I want that, Ava said, crying and laughing at the same time. I want that so much. They stood there in the arrivals area, holding each other, and Ava realized that sometimes the best things in life came from mistakes, from taking wrong luggage, from choosing to text a stranger, from being brave enough to try something impossible. Kang Ji-ho had come into her life wrapped in tissue paper and organized chaos. And he'd stayed because love, it turned out, was the most important thing you could organize your life around. So, Ji-ho said, as they walked toward the exit, his hand never leaving hers, what do you want to do first? Ava smiled. Everything, she said. I want to do everything with you. If you loved watching Ava and Ji-ho's journey from luggage mix-up to love story, subscribe to see more Afro-Korean romance stories that will have you believing in fate. Drop a like if you think long distance can work. And comment, would you have done the same thing in Ava's shoes? Would you take a chance on someone you just met? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and share this story with someone who believes in second chances and unexpected love. Until next time, my beautiful nesties.